In a time of increased migration, new processes and methods, birth of major modern inventions, and development of an urban working class, came the birth of the Second Industrial Revolution. But first, we need to understand how and when did this all begin. Late 19th century was the peak time of migration into industrial cities. It consisted of a vast uprooting of civilians from rural lands into urban areas. In fact, 1/5 of Germany and France lived inside of cities. People believed that moving into the city would benefit them as there was an increase of food and less mortality rate in the city compared to the countryside. In addition, agricultural decline spurred farmers to give up their business and pursue work in factories instead. The expansion of railroads across the continent increased migration to and from the countryside as many jobs were seasonable. Men usually participated in this type of back-and-forth migration. Women, on the other hand, migrated but generally remained in one place to continue their job. Both men and women faced insecurities of losing their job due to layoffs, which further increased migration. All of this migration, in the end, provided a large pool of unemployed workers searching for industrial jobs.
The country that had found the most growth throughout the Second Industrial Revolution was Germany. Germany was a major leader in supporting scientific research and education, as well as the many other aspects of the Second Industrial Revolution. It is even said that the revolution began when scientists in Germany were able to extract nitrogen from the atmosphere to produce better fertilizers and therefore increase crop yields. This scientific discovery led to more widespread developments in research and inventions. Germany also developed a system called Konzern, which was a system that was used to make capital more efficient. Germany became the most extensive sector of large-scale concentrated capitalism and industrialism, and by 1900 dominated the market for synthesized dyes. The country became a huge competitor to Great Britain's industry as well. In 1893, Germany's steel production surpassed even that of Great Britain's and was almost doubled by the beginning of World War I.
This excerpt from a primary source comes from the book Chemical Industry on the Continent and is written by Harold Barron. It states that as of 1909, Germany was one of the largest industrial states of the world with occupations of steel and iron. It also says that at first Britain was the largest industrial site. However, Germany successfully surpassed its competitor during the Second Industrial Revolution.
During the era of the Second Industrial Revolution, many new processes and methods came about that were able to change the way the world works. One of the most important was the Bessemer process, created in the 1850s, in which Henry Bessemer and William Kelly both discovered a new and efficient way to convert iron ore to steel. The chemical industry was also improved with the Solvay process, which allowed the recovery of more chemical byproducts, thereby having an increased production of sulfuric acid in laundry soap. Another major invention was electricity, which was the most versatile and transportable source of power. It began to be generated throughout buildings, homes, transportation, and factories. Gottlieb Daimler was responsible for the creation of the automobile and its engine, and Henry Ford was able to make it accessible to the public. This brought about a demand for oil and petroleum products. Also, due to technologies, food was improved, distributed, preserved, and even prepared much better than before. The standard of living was elevated mainly due to fertilizers, new drainage process, and machinery to sustain a great supply as well as nutrition in the food. These new processes were all dependent on one another to work, and without them, the world would not be anywhere remotely close to where we are today.
The Second Industrial Revolution saw the birth of the automobile. Europeans had been experimenting with the automobile for many decades prior to the 1880s, but it wasn't until Gottlieb Daimler, a German engineer, designed a carriage meant to be moved by an engine, rather than pulled by horses. In 1883, Daimler developed the first internal combustion engine. It was known as the grandfather clock. It was the first engine attached to an engine-fitted carriage and was even attached to a few boats. In 1884, the engine was successfully attached to the Reitwagen, a carriage specifically designed to include an engine and transport passengers. Soon after, in the 1890s, cars were being produced commercially in Europe. While they were now available to the public, the upper classes were really the only ones that could access them, and even then they were only used as luxury items. It was not until 1920 that the car truly revolutionized the world. The creation of the car could not have come at a more ideal time. The oil industry of Europe and the world as a whole experienced a massive boom. New sources of oil had been found, and with it around 1,500 new oil companies came into existence. It was during this time that oil became the dominant fuel of the 20th century, and a hunger that still exists today.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rahika!
Hello, my fellow Europeans. How are you?
And guest star Gottlieb Daimler!
Hello, Gottlieb. How are you doing today?
I'm good, ma'am. How are you?
Very good. You're looking nice today.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. I just have a few questions for you about your cars. So what effect do you think the car will have on society, Gottlieb?
The car is going to revolutionize the country. People will be able to go places faster, new jobs will be created, and industry will be turned upside down, at least for the aristocracy.
Well, that's very nice to hear. Very interesting response, Gottlieb. And now for my second question. How do you think the common Europeans will have to adjust to this car? You know, it's a new kind of invention here.
Well, there can be no more walking down the street however you please. Nowadays, you're going to get run over. Besides, right now, it's only going to be the upper class that can afford my carriages.
Oh, it's only the upper class? Well, why can only the upper class afford the automobile here?
Well, because it takes a long time to make it, of course. What do you expect? Everyone can have one? It's not a factory line, ma'am. Not to mention the scarcity of oil. No, ma'am, the common people will never be able to own a car.
Really? Will they not? That's a shame to hear, Gottlieb. Well, it was nice interviewing you, and I hope to see you around.
Nice to see you too, ma'am.
Alright, goodbye, Gottlieb. Bye.
We now interrupt this program with a message from our sponsors.
Don't suffer from this abuse. Get your car today.
Electricity was arguably the most significant development of the Second Industrial Revolution. Human civilizations have long been aware of the existence of electricity, but it wasn't until the 18th and 19th centuries that this knowledge expanded. In the early 19th century, electrical science rapidly progressed, while the later 19th century saw the progress of electrical engineering, in which many major figures, such as Thomas Edison and Sir Joseph Swan, developed methods to incorporate electricity into modern life, effectively creating the driving force of the Second Industrial Revolution. Electricity's many capabilities allowed it to influence a wide range of aspects, a major one of them being lighting. Sir Joseph Swan is accredited with being the inventor of the incandescent light bulb. In 1880, he was able to create a fully functioning light bulb, and from that time on, he began the installation of them in homes and in public property. In 1881, after founding the Swan Electric Light Company, he sent 1,200 Swan light bulbs to the Savoy Theatre in the city of Westminster, London, later to be the first public building completely lit by electricity. Electricity also expanded into the more industrial side of the revolution. The invention of electricity allowed the development of the assembly line and mass production, which then led to the boom in the automobile industry, namely the famed Ford Model Ts. The first radios also appeared during this time, changing the way news could be spread. In 1886, Frank J. Sprague developed the DC motor, which was used to power street railways. By 1889, there were 110 operating railways, allowing for cleaner and easier transportation through cities. In effect, the development of electricity revolutionized the lives of the millions living in Europe and America at the time. Not only did private living conditions improve drastically, a stronger infrastructure was set in place by a mass reorganization of transportation, communication, and the expansion of a flourishing new economy.
Why, hello there, Ritika. I'm from Puerto Rico, and I understand that you are a witness of the working conditions of the working class. Am I correct?
Yes, indeed. I have been working for a really long time. Currently, I am 100 years old and have survived the Great Second Industrial Revolution.
So tell me, Ritika, how bad were the conditions in the factory you worked in?
Oh, they were simply awful. I worked for at least 12 hours a day, every day, in tiring work. There were children roaming around at such little ages, aiding the adults. Everywhere, it was damp, overcrowded, and germ-infested.
Oh, that does not sound good. Tell me, as a woman, was it harder?
Oh, why, yes, indeed. We were often not trusted if we were married, and we were paid really low wages.
Thanks for your comments, Ritika.